A leaked recording exposes the horrifying final moments of an electric chair execution. Haunting screams, shocking details, and a truth so disturbing it was hidden for decades. Brace yourself for what you're about to hear. The condemned man whose leaked execution you're about to listen to, and the crime he committed was so brutal. But at the end, you get to decide if justice was truly served or not. To understand what led a man to this fate, we must rewind to the very beginning. But first, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Sit tight because at the end, you're going to witness an execution like you've never seen before. Ivon Ray Stanley spent 8 years on death row, his life ticking away in a Georgia cell. His crime was so horrific it shocked even seasoned detectives. He didn't just kill his victim, Clifford Floyd. He buried him alive, fully aware of the terror he inflicted. Now let's see who Ivon was and what led to his crime. Ivon Ray Stanley was born in 1956 in Georgia, a state where rural life and economic hardship often went hand in hand. Details about his childhood are scarce, like pieces of a puzzle lost to time, but what we know paints a picture of struggle and disconnection. Raised primarily by his grandmother, Eliza Lee, Ivon grew up without a father, who deserted the family before he was even born. His mother, often described as emotionally distant, left him craving affection and stability. This void in his early years set the stage for a life marked by turmoil. What happens to a boy when the people meant to guide him are absent or indifferent? The family lived modestly, likely scraping by in a working-class community. Eliza, who took on the role of primary caregiver, described Ivon as a gentle child at times, unwilling to harm even a chicken for a family meal. Yet this softness seemed to clash with the harsh world around him. At school, Ivon faced bullies but refused to fight back, according to his grandmother's accounts. Was this restraint a sign of inner kindness? Or was it something else? Perhaps a quiet resentment building beneath the surface. Education was not Ivon's strong suit. A high school dropout with an IQ later measured at 81, he struggled academically, possibly due to a lack of support at home or undiagnosed learning challenges. By his teens, the gentle boy his grandmother described began to fade. He started down a path of petty crime, small thefts and minor offenses that landed him in trouble with the law. These weren't just youthful missteps. They hinted at a growing disregard for rules and authority. What pushed him from minor trouble to something far darker? Court records and later appeals suggest Ivon may have grappled with mental health issues, though specifics remain murky. His defense team pointed to a history of mental illness, possibly exacerbated by a childhood lacking emotional warmth. Growing up without a father and with a mother who treated him coolly, as documents noted, Ivon learned early that the world could be a cold place. Each petty crime, each brush with the law, seemed to harden him further, setting the stage for the monstrous act he would commit in 1976. But what was the tipping point that turned a troubled teen into a man capable of such cruelty? On April 12, 1976, Ivon Ray Stanley and his accomplice, Joseph Edward Thomas, committed a brutal crime in Fowlestown, a quiet rural area near Bainbridge in Decatur County, Georgia. Their victim, Clifford Floyd, a 46-year-old insurance collector, was known for his regular Monday rounds collecting weekly premiums door to door. What seemed like a routine day for Floyd turned into a nightmare, orchestrated by two men driven by greed and desperation. Weeks before the murder, Stanley and Thomas were overheard plotting to rob the insurance man because they needed money. Court records reveal they discussed the plan at least twice, with one chilling detail: they agreed they'd have to get rid of him to avoid being identified. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment crime. It was calculated, brewing for nearly 5 weeks. Stanley, a high school dropout with a history of petty crimes, and Thomas, his more dominant partner, saw Floyd as an easy target. Floyd carried cash from his collections, making him vulnerable in the isolated Fowlestown area. On the morning of April 12th, Floyd arrived at Thomas's house to collect a premium, unaware of the danger lurking. Thomas, seizing the moment, sent a friend to fetch Stanley from his nearby home, saying, "Tell Ivon to come over." Stanley arrived quickly, armed with a .22 caliber pistol Thomas had given him. The trap was set. What was going through Floyd's mind as he went about his routine oblivious to the men plotting his fate. As Floyd left Thomas's house, Stanley caught up with him. Using a pretext, likely a fabricated issue about a payment, Stanley persuaded Floyd to return to Thomas's residence. Floyd, trusting and professional, had no reason to suspect danger. Back at the house, Stanley pulled the .22 caliber pistol on Floyd, ordering him not to move or speak. He emptied Floyd's pockets, stealing about $230 in cash, money Floyd had collected that day. Thomas stood by, watching as Stanley took control. With the robbery complete, the situation escalated. Stanley, still brandishing the pistol, and Thomas, now carrying a hammer, forced Floyd to walk with them to a wooded area near Thomas's house. As they moved, Floyd and Thomas exchanged words, possibly Floyd pleading or questioning. Angered, Thomas struck Floyd on the forehead with the hammer, drawing blood. In the woods, Stanley tied Floyd to a tree with rope Thomas fetched from his house. Floyd, bleeding and terrified, was helpless. Thomas left briefly to hide Floyd's car, rifling through it and stealing another .22 caliber pistol from the glove compartment. When he returned, Stanley was still guarding Floyd, who was bound and gagged with part of his own torn shirt stuffed into his mouth to silence his pleas. The men decided Floyd had to die. Stanley untied him from the tree but kept his hands bound. Thomas began digging a shallow grave, about 11 inches deep, with his mother's shovel. When he tired, Stanley took over, finishing the hole. As Floyd, still alive and bleeding, was forced toward the grave, Stanley handed the pistol to Thomas, saying, "You gonna do the rest." Thomas shot Floyd through the upper lip. Then, with Floyd still conscious and struggling, the men beat him with the shovel's edge, striking his head, throat, and chest, and jabbed him with its pointed end. Floyd, fighting to survive, was pushed into the shallow grave. As he tried to speak, begging for his life, they shoveled dirt over him, burying him alive. An autopsy by James Dawson of the Georgia Crime Laboratory revealed the full horror. Floyd had a gunshot wound through his lip, a depressed skull fracture from the hammer, multiple lacerations from the shovel, a broken sternum, and brain hemorrhage. Most chillingly, his lungs, trachea, and stomach contained blood and dirt, showing he had swallowed and inhaled the mixture while buried, suffocating or strangling on his own blood within 30 minutes. The murder of Clifford Floyd devastated Fowlestown and Decatur County. Floyd was a respected figure, a diligent worker who served his community by collecting premiums that helped families secure their futures. His death, marked by unimaginable cruelty, shocked neighbors who couldn't fathom such brutality in their small town. The image of Floyd, beaten and shot, pleading as dirt was shoveled over him, haunted the community, fueling fear and grief. Families questioned their safety, and the case drew national attention for its sheer savagery, becoming a grim symbol of violence in 1970s Georgia. How could two men inflict such suffering on an innocent man just for a handful of cash? After burying Floyd, Stanley and Thomas parted ways, believing they'd covered their tracks. Thomas had hidden Floyd's car, and the shallow grave in the woods seemed unlikely to be found quickly. But their plan unraveled fast. On April 14th, just 2 days later, police arrested Thomas, who confessed in intricate detail, implicating Stanley. Stanley was apprehended the same day, caught by evidence at the crime scene, and witness testimony linking him to the murder. Stanley admitted being present, but claimed Thomas was the primary killer, a defense that didn't sway investigators given the evidence of their joint planning and actions. Ivon Ray Stanley was tried in the Decatur County Superior Court in 1977 for murder, armed robbery, and kidnapping with bodily injury. His defense team didn't dispute the crime's basic facts, but argued his low IQ, 81, and history of mental illness should mitigate his sentence. They claimed Stanley's dependent personality disorder made him follow Thomas's lead. The jury, unmoved by these arguments and horrified by the crime's brutality, convicted Stanley on all charges. He was sentenced to death for murder and kidnapping with bodily injury, though the armed robbery conviction was later vacated. The Georgia Supreme Court affirmed the convictions and death sentences. Joseph Thomas, tried separately, also received death sentences, but his were later overturned, and he was resentenced to life in prison. Why did Stanley face the ultimate penalty while Thomas escaped it? Those questions are left unanswered as his execution took place on July 12, 1984, at the Georgia Diagnostic and Classification Prison.
is a recording of the execution of Ivon Ray Stanley, EF 103603, July the 12th, 1984.
Colonel Lowe, Mickey?
Yes.
The witnesses are now entering the witness room.
Okay.
The state witnesses have entered the witness room and have seated themselves on the front row. At this time, the news media witnesses are entering. All witnesses have arrived and have seated. The warden at this time is in the process of confirming all witnesses. All witnesses have been confirmed. The warden is in the process of advising all witnesses that we will now proceed with the court-ordered execution of Ivon Stanley. Colonel Lowe, Mickey, the execution team is now in the process of escorting the condemned into the execution chamber. He is walking unassisted, walked straight to the chair and is seated himself in it. One of the execution team members is now in the process of securing the back strap. The other members are in the process of securing the arm straps and leg straps. The back strap is secure at this time. Both arm straps are secure at this time. They're still in the process of securing the leg straps. At this time, the condemned has been secured in the chair. He is not moving. He's just sitting there very passively staring out at the witnesses. The superintendent has afforded the condemned an opportunity to make a last statement. He has declined to make a last statement.
Are you ready to tell him that?
He has afforded the opportunity for prayer. He declined this also. The condemned is still sitting there very passively, no movement, staring out into the witnesses. The superintendent is still in the process of reading the court order to the condemned. The team is in the process of securing the headset to the condemned. The condemned has offered no resistance throughout. He's just sitting there very passively, not moving. The leg band has been secured to the condemned's right leg, and also the headset has been secured to his head. Perspiration is now being wiped from the forehead of the condemned, and he is secure and ready for execution with the exception of the hood being placed over his head and the wires being attached to the leg band and to the headset. Electrician now has entered the execution chamber and is in the process of securing the wire to the headset.
They're moving very well. It's a good time to do it right now. Marable?
Yes, sir.
Stand still. Mickey, put William Hill on.
Hello?
William? Okay, Attorney General's here.
Okay.
Hill, this is Mike.
Yeah.
Have you got any reason why the execution shouldn't be carried out?
No, I don't.
Thank you.
All right. Colonel Lowe?
Yes.
Mickey, the wires have been attached and secured to the headset and to the leg band. The perspiration has been wiped again from the condemned's forehead, and the hood is being placed on at this time.
Ralph, this is Commissioner.
Yes.
There are no stays. You can proceed to carry out the official order of the court.
Very well. On my count of three, press your button. 1, 2, 3. Colonel Lowe?
Yes.
Mickey, the execution is now in progress. When it first surge entered his body, he stiffened, and I heard a pop as if one of the straps broke, but I can't tell from this vantage point. He is still at this time sitting there with clenched fists with no other movement. He's slowly relaxing at this time. The first phase of the execution is completed. We are now into the second phase. The second phase is completed at this time. We are now into the third and final stage. From my vantage point, it seems that the inmate has relaxed somewhat. His fists are still clenched, but there's no movement from the condemned. There's still no movement from the individual. He's still just sitting there. His third phase completed. We're still into the third phase. third phase, and the execution is completed. We're now into the 5 minutes elapsed time. Colonel Lowe, Mickey, we have now completed 5 minutes lapse time. Stand by for the doctors are now preparing to enter the execution chambers to check for life signs. The first physician has completed his examination. The second is now in the process of making his check. The second doctor has now completed his examination. The third and final doctor is in the process of making his check. The examination is completed. Stand by for the superintendent's time of death and confirmation of death.
Approximately 12:24, July 12, 1984, full execution of Ivon Ray Stanley was carried.
The superintendent has advised all witnesses that death did occur at 12:24, this date.
The leaked recording of Ivon Ray Stanley's execution reveals the chilling end to a man convicted of a brutal crime, robbing, beating, shooting, and burying Clifford Floyd alive. Do you think the sheer brutality of Stanley's actions justified his death in the electric chair? Or was the punishment too extreme for his role in the crime? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe for more shocking true crime stories.